Your homeowner's insurance is only due once a year. You take the cost and divide by 12, and that's your budgeted amount for the month. Income dollar variance and expense dollar variance. I want you to notice that these are reversed. Actual minus budgeted and budgeted minus actual. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember which is which until I read the problem and put it into context. They work in opposite ways, and we'll see down here when we do these two examples. Remember, income, money that you're bringing in, and expenses, money that you're spending. And then to do the percent variance, it's always the dollar variance divided by the budgeted amount. So here on number 1, it says at the end of March, the Browns prepared an expense summary. They had planned to spend $220 on groceries. They actually spent $231.85. How much more or less did they spend on groceries than they had budgeted for? So they spent $231, they budgeted $220. So they spent more than budgeted. Budgeted have 2 T's, I think. Nope, that looks funny. 1 T. It's got to be 1 T, right? Yeah, just 1 T. That looks funny. I thought so. Sorry. Well, we'll just say then budget, because that looked funny when I tried to fix it. All right, so they spent more than what was on their budget. This tells us it's unfavorable. And the reason I'm saying that is because that's what our worksheet and the book are going to ask for in a minute. They're going to ask for it's favorable or unfavorable. Since you spent more, that's unfavorable. You have less money than you planned. So because this is expenses, you do the budgeted minus the actual. So 220 minus 231.85. Had you done it the other way, and I'll put my calculator in the screen so you can see it both ways. Notice you'll get the same answer either way. One will be positive and one will be negative. It just matters that you make sure you understand the context of the problem. So this is negative $11.85. Or you could say spent $11.85 more than the budget. It's unfavorable. There's several different ways to kind of answer this that all mean the same thing. The variance, so this would be variance, negative 11.85 variance. You could say the variance is unfavorable by $11.85. Again, unfavorable means it doesn't work against you and it's negative. You could put it in context, spend $11.85 more than had planned. Those all mean the same things. If it's multiple choice, it would be very clear that like what one you should go for. And then here at the end of November, Josh reviewed his expense summary. He planned to earn $480 by working 12 hours every weekend at Pizza Pirate. He was only able to get 9 hours of work each weekend. Describe his budget variance if he makes $10 an hour. All right. He works 9 hours each weekend and makes $10 an hour. So each weekend is 9 hours and he makes $10 an hour. You know, this is old because that's not even minimum wage. So he makes $90 every weekend. And then every month, we'll say there's 4 weekends in a month. 4 times 90. So every month he's going to make $360. All right, sorry. So this is income. So we're doing it the other way around. But we can already tell he made $360. He planned on making $480. He made less than he planned. So this is also unfavorable. Because he made less than planned. So again, if you just think about the context of the problem, you should be able to decide if it's favorable or unfavorable. So here though, we're going to do it the other way around. We're going to do the actual amount minus the budgeted amount. So again, here we did budget minus actual. Here we're doing actual minus budget. If you do it the other way around, again, you're just going to get the same answer, but positive or negative. And if you understand the context of the problem, you should know if your answer should be positive or negative. So he made $100 less, or $120, sorry, $120 less than budgeted for.
Can you put it lower? We can't see what you're writing. Thank you.
So for our percent variance, we do the negative $120 divided by the 480. Again, 480 is the amount. I didn't do percent up here. I'll go back and do that. Sorry. 480 is the budgeted amount. So negative 120 divided by 480. So this is negative 25% variance. So that's a big difference. He made 25% less than he planned on making. Back here on number 1 for the percent variance, negative 1185 divided by 220. So this is about negative 5.4% variance. Questions on this? Okay, so your homework is part of your homework is very similar to this. I'm going to go over it now since it's the same idea. You're going to just fill these tables and answer the questions down here. So this top section is income amounts. The bottom section is expense amounts. So you can do this last column, favorable or unfavorable, before you do any math if you want. If this is income, I planned on making $200. I made $220. Is that going to be favorable or unfavorable? I planned on making $200 income. I earned $200, but I actually earned $220. Is that going to be favorable or unfavorable?
Favorable.
Yeah, that's going to be favorable. What about this one? I planned on making $500, but I made $400.
Unfavorable.
I planned on making $500, but I made $400. Favorable or unfavorable?
Unfavorable.
Unfavorable. That lets you know if your answer should be positive or negative right there. So it doesn't matter what way you do your subtraction, 200 minus 220 or 220 minus 200. You know your answer for this first one should be positive $20 because it's favorable. So you don't have to remember what way to do your subtraction if you understand favorable or unfavorable. This one, unfavorable, the difference between 500 and 400 is negative $100. To do the percent variance, you do the dollar variance divided by the budgeted amount. So here, $20 divided by 200. Notice it says 0.1 for percents. That's not 1%. You move it 2 places, that's 10%. Down here, expenses, I budgeted spending $200, but I actually spent $220. So it's unfavorable. Notice these first ones are the exact same, 200 and 220. But this was income, this is expenses. They work opposite ways, right? I planned on spending 200, I spent 220. So this is negative $20 or negative 10%. If you have questions on this worksheet, I'll stick around at the end of class. I could even do more with you guys for those people that feel like they need more help on the math. Okay. Next is our do the math. So page 144, numbers 1 through 4.
What was the other worksheet called?
This one,
No, the first one that we did.
oh, this was just our notes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think when I typed in Google Classroom, I think I put like variance notes and worksheet. So these were the notes, and then this was the worksheet.
And everything in the yellow, you wanted us to just copy all that down?
Yeah, if you printed it, you can just highlight them. If you're typing your notes, you can type them. Sometimes equations are easier to write, but yes. All right, so the do the math here on page 144. Trying to make it so you can see both. Michael makes $127 each paycheck and receives 4 paycheck per month. What is his monthly income? What is his yearly income? All right, so monthly income, they're asking 2 questions here. Monthly income, he receives $127 each paycheck and gets 4 paychecks each month. So we're going to do 4 times $127. 4 times 127 is going to be 508. So Michael makes $508 every month. We also want his yearly income. So we know there are 12 months in every year. So we're going to take 12 and multiply it by the monthly amount of 508. So Michael makes $6,096 every year. So number 2 then, Rochelle makes $96 a week and gets paid 52 weeks a year. What is her yearly income? So yearly income then, if she makes 96 a week and gets paid for 52 weeks, so 52 times 96. $4,992. And then we also want to know her average monthly income. Average is you take the total and divide by how many of whatever there are. So in this case, her total is $4,992 divided by 12 months. So that's $416 each month. So here's the difference kind of between 1 and 2. Yes, their dollar amounts are different, but on number 1, it said he gets 4 paychecks every month. And then he gets paid, or then there's 12 months. This would be a total of 48 paychecks. Here she gets 52 paychecks because she gets paid every week. So when we assume there's 4 weeks in a month, and that's what a lot of these problems will do. Like I just did on the notes when it was like the weekends, there were 4 weekends. We're not accounting for actually every weekend because we know some months have 30 and 31 days and they're going to have extra paydays or weekends. So just keep that in mind with the 2 different ways to do these. All right, number 3. Maria's budgeted income for July was $539. She earned $522. Compute the variance amount and the percent. Note if it was favorable or unfavorable. So I want you guys to try this one. First, decide. I personally, again, I like to say, is it favorable or unfavorable first? And then that tells you if it should be positive or negative. So see if you can do that one. I'll give you guys, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. I don't want to give too long because if you're stuck, I don't want you just sitting there wasting your time, and I will go over it. I'm going to pause my screen. Does that pause it? Can you guys see me writing right now? I never know how this looks on your end.
We can't see you writing right now. It's frozen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so hopefully you were able to determine that this is unfavorable. Income, she planned on making 539, but she really only made 522. So she made less than she was planning on making. That's not good. So that was a negative $17 variance. And again, these will be the same numbers, just positive or negative, depending on if it's favorable or unfavorable. So then you take the dollar variance divided by the budgeted amount. The book here says round to the nearest whole percent. So I said this was about negative 3%. Again, move the decimal 2 places and you get a 3.1, which makes you round to just 3. All right, same thing, try number 4. So Chin's budgeted amount for entertainment expense was 125. The actual amount he spent was 106. Find the variance amount and percent, and is it favorable or unfavorable? Okay, so let me move it up a little bit. This is favorable. Chen spent 106, but he planned on spending 125. So he has $125. He goes to pay. It's only 106. That means he has $19 left over. That's his variance. 19 divided by 125 gives us about a 15% variance. So he saved about 15% on his entertainment expenses this month. Questions on this?
Yes, can you please keep it there? I'm still writing it down.
Okay, I'll leave it for another second or two, or a minute or so. I'm gonna cover it for a second. We're gonna move on to this needs versus wants. Open this or print it if you like to print your papers. This is what I'm gonna go over, and you might want to have it handy. It is in your Google Classroom, like everything else is. And you can make a copy of it if you would like. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. So here, we're going to compare needs versus wants. And it says, although online resources and financial gurus will tell you it's pretty clear cut for what qualifies as a need versus a want. In real life, it's often not that clear. For example, if you decide to live in Cleveland while your family lives in Phoenix and visiting them is a priority for you, you might consider 4 flights a year a necessity. On the other hand, if you really love scuba diving, maybe 4 flights a year to Hawaii or Florida seem like a need, even though it's really just a want. And we kind of talked about that, right? Like cell phones for a lot of us, those are something that are very high priority. By definition, they're not a need. We can live without them. We might not feel like we can, but we're not going to die without them, essentially. So here's what you're going to do, though. Assuming your fundamental needs of housing, clothing, and food have been met, and you already have a savings plan in place, you have a little bit of extra money in your budget. So you already have basic clothes, not name brand or anything. You have housing and you have your basic food. And you're putting money in savings. You're going to go through this list, put a 1 next to things that are needs for you, very high priority, like you have to have them, you feel. A 2 for other high priority wants, a 3 for low priority wants. If it's something that doesn't apply to you, you can put, it says leave it blank. I don't want you to leave it blank because if you leave it blank, I think you skipped it. I'd rather you put a 0 or an X or something. And then on the next page, it also has a few blank boxes in case there's something else that is important to you. So I'm just going to kind of read through this list. For myself, like I'm going to say, okay, a cell phone plan, that's pretty much a need for me. I do my work on it. I communicate with people. It's also entertainment. My gym membership, that's a need for me. Holiday and gift giving, that's really high importance to me. I'm even going to say I feel like that's a need. Maybe it could be a 2, maybe. That could kind of go either way. Let's see, subscriptions to Netflix, Hulu. I like those. Those are a high want, but I could live without them. So like electronics, I'm going to say that doesn't really apply to me. Sure, it says phones in there, but I don't need the best phone. As long as my phone is being paid for, I can count that one out. Charitable and religious donations, that's not a big thing for me, right? So whatever it is for you, this is going to be different for everybody. Transportation cost, that's a need for me, right? I have to pay my car payment. I have to, all of these things, those are high priority. I have to be able to get to and from work, etc. So you fill in this table. If there's something else not on there, you put it here. Then you're going to, you pretend you have the 2019 average college graduate income using the 50, 30, 20 method. You don't have to know what this is. It does the math for you already. But basically that's want or needs, wants, and savings. And so they're saying after you do that, you have $900 for your wants. So you're going to take this list and you're going to list all of these things that you want or need. So I would say, okay, my cell phone, the gym, gifts, transportation, subscriptions, and you're going to keep going with all of them. Put all of your 1s first, then your 2s, then your 3s. If they don't apply to you, you don't list them. Then go through and say how much you're going to spend. You need to be realistic, right? Cell phone bill, I'm going to say is $120. Sure, if you're on a family plan, maybe your portion isn't as much. Are your parents going to let you stay on that family plan forever? Are you going to have to just pay your share? Are you going to have to chip in more? The gym, $100. Gifts, I know they're going to vary every month, but I want to make sure I have enough. Maybe I save a little from each month and spend more in December for Christmas. Car, that's going to be car payments, maintenance, insurance. That's going to be a big expense, which you can approximate. We're going to do more with the budget later, and you can, but maybe ask, hey, how much do you think my car insurance and my car payment are going to be? And gas, depending on what kind of car you have, you know, maybe $500. Transportation is a big expense. Subscriptions, maybe that's 25. And you can see here, I'm already over my $900. So you just keep going, and then you need to get this to be not over $900. I'm going to have to make some cuts. Maybe I don't need that much in transportation, right? Maybe I think about getting a car that has a smaller payment. If you don't spend the whole $900, that's fine. But if you say, you know, my cell phone's going to be only $20, I'm going to say, no, that's not accurate. Like, try to be more realistic. And if you don't know, just go ask your parents. Ask somebody, hey, how much should I expect to spend on this? If it's well under 900, maybe you just live a minimal lifestyle, and that's fine. But it needs to be under 900 or at 900. Then just go through and answer the questions. What's going to be the easiest to give up if you're forced to? Well, I could go back and make some changes, and I could give up my subscriptions. I don't need Netflix. What's going to be hardest to give up? Well, that's going to be my cell phone. How do your values inform your spending? Well, maybe your religion and church are big to you, and so because you value those, that's going to influence some of your spending and your giving there. And then the last 3 questions are this scenario. So your cousin graduated from college, got an intro-level job in human resources at a large company in DC. From college, there's 1 suit, okay, shirts and pants, 1 professional pair of shoes. They have to be in business attire every day. So would you consider your cousin's desire to upgrade their wardrobe a need or a want? Well, that's up to you. You could say either way, but you need to explain that. So your cousin decides they need a wardrobe update. What's an appropriate amount of business clothing to be successful at this job? Think they're wearing these business clothes 5 days a week, every day of the year, minus a few vacations. But so how many pairs of work shoes do they need? How many pairs of, how many suits? How many business appropriate shirts and pants? And then what should be your cousin's approach to buying this wardrobe? Should your cousin buy it all up front and make, you know, big cuts 1 month and then not have to do it again for a while? Should your cousin try to, you know, maybe buy this many this month, this many next month, and then won't have to for a while? Maybe you say buy 1 or 2 a month. Are they going to wear the same, it says a few, the same 4 shirts every day for 2 months until they can afford more? I don't know. You're going to give your advice there. And then that is that. Any questions?